ReasonConf is brought to you by our gold sponsors Ahrefs and Chain Street.
So hi everyone, I'm Louis, I'm working at Ahrefs, and I want to talk about the full stack, and what I mean is that Ahrefs we have like 3,000 servers, something like this, running OCaml. Then we have a website, the backend of the website is OCaml, the front end is Reason, and it allows us to make like things very cool that we couldn't do it before Reason and Bucket Script. So it's a huge success story for us. And I will try not to talk about tooling too much, but more about the idea that we got. Just start with Ahrefs. So we do some OCaml, some Reason, some Rust, small company. And we are historically an OCaml house, but we have like 5 OCaml people. And January last year, I did a small project on AWS Lambda using Bucket Script. And after that, the CEO decided, okay, we're going to rewrite the whole website using Reason React. You know, we have 10 Reason people, so it went pretty well. We are based in Singapore. And so this is like our setup, basically. So we have a big data backend. It's like 3,000 servers. Then the website backend, which is a simple HTTP server written in OCaml. So it's like one process. And then in the browser, we have Reason React frontend. And okay, we have a problem that, so yeah, we have 3,000 servers downloading web pages from the internet all the time. So we are kind of a small Google. But Google, when they crawl the web, they have like 90,000 people working on it. And we have 5 people working on it. So it has some changes. And we need a way to make sure that the data we have in our data backend, when it goes to the browser, all the way, it's like typed properly, manipulated properly, that there is no like silly mistakes. And the thing we can do now, because we have Reason in the front end, is that we can have types everywhere, and all the same types everywhere. It's like Reason is OCaml, it's like exactly the same thing, and it allows us to do this. And so how we do this? And I'm not talking about tooling because everyone can do it, and you don't need specific tools to do that. For us, so in the backend, we have some OCaml files writing like mappings. Basically, it's just a description of objects we have in database. So we have the type, and every field has a type, like high-level types using records, variants, and stuff like this. And so this is the source of truth. And then we have this website backend. So it's a small HTTP server in OCaml, and it's taking care of fetching data from the 3,000 servers and translating it, taking one field here, filtering and things like this. And so we don't want to rewrite new types again. So we just take the types from the backend because it's the same language, so we can do it. And we want more types, we want more security too, on top of the data. So when we query all the data backend, so we are using databases such as MySQL, Elasticsearch, very common tools. We wrote all the queries statically because we know in advance what kind of query we want to do. And those queries are typed. So it means it's a bit like GraphQL. So we know that the object we will get in return, they have these shapes, those types. They are very easy to manipulate. And so as the types in those queries are linked to the types in the mappings we wrote earlier, we know that they match. We know that they are the same, that they are correct. And we have so like some HTTP endpoints in this program, and we type them too. So we know they take this input, type A, they return this type B. And so if you call this function, it will call this endpoint that will return this. And it means that in the front end, which is written in Reason React, we can share all this. So we are sharing the types from the 2 previous layers. They are the same, they are correct. And when we call the HTTP endpoint, we are using functions that were generated earlier. And so they use the same type too. So it means, again, we know that I'm calling this endpoint. I have to send a record with this specific type. And I will get in return this specific type. And there is no mistake. I cannot like call the wrong endpoint by mistake and getting wrong data. It just doesn't compile. So it's a very powerful thing to be able to share types all the way down, like 3,000 servers to 50 lines of JavaScript in the browser. It's the same time, it's the same type, it's the same thing, it was the same way, and it's safe. And so if you want to do this, so you can write everything by hand, but it's just a pain. So I want to advertise code generation. GraphQL is doing it too with PPX. You have PPX deriving or things like this. Just generate code. I mean, our website backend is 10,000 lines of code. The front end is 50,000 lines of code. We generate at least 600,000 lines just for the website backend. The same thing for the browser, like probably like 600,000 too. So when you are a small team, you cannot write everything. You cannot write by hand everything. So just generate, like write some small tools, generate stuff, and rely on types. When you have types, it's very easy to generate encoders, decoders, and if you can share the code between all the tools, you are always sure that this code is correct. You have a very small code base that you write really, and you have a lot of power at the end. And okay, I will talk about just one specific tool we use to do this, called ATDgen. So ATDgen, it's very good for JSON. It allows to generate parser and like writers for JSON. And so it exists in OCaml for a long time. We are using it to talk to Elasticsearch, for example. And we paid someone to add bucket script support. So now it can generate code for the front end too. And yeah, if you want to like just use JSON in ReasonCode, just use this tool. And there is a dojo this afternoon where you can really like experience how to use the tool, what it brings, and everything. So I hope you can join and enjoy the work of other href people who worked on it. That's it.